This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 19, Teaching Tuesday. Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, where you'll finally get real native English conversation. Now here are your hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Gabby Wallace, the language angel, coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA.
Okay, so in today's episode, you will learn about one really great website to understand some common American slang terms, American English slang terms. Okay, so Gabby, in this episode, yesterday, on Monday, we talked about a couple of things. We were talking about the fact that Americans are getting around by bike instead of by car. And I just said it, the first term. Get around.
Yeah.
So what does it mean?
So to get around is just what kind of transportation do you take? It could be by foot, it could be by car, by bike, it could be on the subway, it could be... I think, did I cover everything?
Yeah.
By limo.
Exactly.
By private helicopter. So to get around is just how do you go where you want to go?
Yeah, how do you move from point A to point B?
Yeah.
So it's a great term. It's a phrasal verb.
Very
it's a
natural.
Phrasal verb that you can use to sound more natural.
Yeah,
as you said.
exactly.
Yeah.
Very common. So it kind of leads us into our next teaching point, which is the prepositions that you use with get around. So I said a bunch of them just now, but just to focus on them again, we have to get around by car or by bicycle
or
bike.
Or by bike or on the subway.
Right. So just remember always, by bike, by car, right? It's kind of an individual thing where you're driving your own car, driving your own bike, but on the subway. So on the subway, if you think of the subway as like a flat surface, I guess.
A platform.
Yeah. On the subway. So just two ways to use get around, two different prepositions.
Cool. And the next one was, we said a headache. If something can be a headache, it can be really inconvenient.
Frustrating.
Annoying. Actually could cause an actual headache.
Yeah.
Pain in your head.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What did we say was a headache? Driving, maybe?
Oh, driving in traffic. Heavy traffic. Yeah, you can't go anywhere. You're just stuck in your car, so it's a real headache.
Absolutely.
Or getting parking tickets. It's a headache.
Ugh, yes.
Yeah. So, we use this phrase a lot, but, I wouldn't use it lightly, like calling someone a headache. Like,
no, don't say that.
Oh, she has such a headache. That's like pretty insulting, right? But a situation can be a headache, and that's like no problem.
Like going to the DMV. Is
the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Oh, stay
what a
away
headache.
Huge headache.
Yeah. Okay, so the last term, Lindsay said that as a 16-year-old girl, she would go cruising in her car. And this has two different meanings, so we wanted to clarify them for you. According to UrbanDictionary.com, we have several different meanings, but primarily they fit into two categories. So which category did you mean?
Yeah. So the category that I meant, and the way we used it in high school, was that we would just go around, drive in the car, and have fun. We'd turn the music up. We'd really drive with no real destination. There were 4 or 5 of us in the car, and the music blasting, and just sort of having fun, driving as a form of entertainment, not looking for anything or anyone, just having a good time.
Yeah, just driving for driving's sake.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so the other term for cruising, the other meaning for cruising is...
So it's like if you're looking for a sexual partner.
Right.
And you're not necessarily in a car. You could just be like inside a bar or inside a club, and you're cruising for, a person to pick up someone in a sexual way.
That's a good point. So you want to think about the context of the conversation to figure out what the person actually, which meaning the person is actually using.
Like if I say, hey, Lindsay, what'd you do last weekend? And you're like, I went cruising.
Except I don't do that too much.
Well, it would be ambiguous. I wouldn't be sure.
Yeah.
Like, well, so you mean...
tell me more.
Yeah, tell me more. Exactly.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, so those were our 4 phrases. And let me just say them and give you a little time to repeat so that you can work on your pronunciation. So first one, get around. And I'll say the whole phrase with prepositions. So I get around by bike. I get around on the subway. And the next phrase, to be a headache.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one, cruising.
Okay, great.
All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow for a Wisdom Wednesday. I'm going to share a really crazy tip. It's a little embarrassing, actually, but it's something I used to do, and I think it'll help you guys to practice your English.
All right, see you tomorrow.
See you then.
Okay, so Gabby, what do you think would be the best way for students to use the All Ears English podcast to actually move from the intermediate to the advanced level?
Yeah, a lot of people get stuck at the intermediate level. I know in my own language learning that listening and then reading the transcript of what I just listened to, like a radio program or a podcast, really helped me to push my language skills to the advanced level.
Absolutely. So in order to do that and to actually get more out of this All Ears English experience, where can our listeners go?
Well, you guys can get premium transcripts of all of our podcasts, word for word, what we're saying, if you go to allearsenglish.com/conversations.
And one more time, that's www.allearsenglish.com/conversations. Thanks for listening to the All Ears English podcast. We're here to help you learn English, and you can help us by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. See you next time.
This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 20, Wisdom Wednesday. Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, where you'll finally get real native English conversation. Now here are your hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Gabby Wallace, the language angel, coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA.
In today's episode, you'll learn a lesser-known way to practice your English on the telephone. Okay, Gabby, so today you mentioned that you have a really interesting tip that English learners can use to actually find a way to practice English finally. So what is that tip? What did you used to do?
Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing. It's kind of weird, but if you are open-minded and you don't mind trying something a little different, this is a great tip. Very, very practical way to practice your English for free. So, what I used to do when I was a kid and bored out of my mind, like 11 years old, nothing to do, didn't want to do my homework, just wanted, something entertaining, I would look for, something around the house, like a product or maybe a food product or like any game or anything where there was a label. And on the label, there is usually a suggestions, comments, and then a phone number, like an 800, like a free phone number. So I would pick up the phone and I would call the 1-800 number and I would just start talking to the person. I would say, hey, how you doing?
That's so funny.
Where does this phone number go? Like, what state are you in?
But did you actually offer suggestions, or just kind of you called just to
No,
chat?
I kind of just called a chat. That's why it was kind of funny. But actually, that would be a good way to practice your English and not be such a weirdo. You could offer suggestions or comments about the product.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell them why you like the product, or if you have any ideas for improvements. I mean, one product, just for an example, could be a box of cereal.
Right. So what would you do to change the product? I mean, it's an interesting idea. I've never thought about this in terms of ways to practice English, but it is,
Like, get a box of Frosted Flakes, try it out, and probably my suggestion would be, this is great, so tasty, but, for breakfast, it's too much like a dessert. It's too sweet for me. So, I mean, find out what happens.
Yeah,
call the number, and, what's
Give it
the
a
worst
try.
that could happen?
Why not? Yeah. And the good thing about that is that you don't actually have to be face-to-face with the person, which sometimes can be a little bit embarrassing. So this is actually a way to practice your phone skills, phone English.
Exactly. And it's going to be professional phone skills, because these people are working. They're going to answer the phone in a professional way, and, they'll have a professional conversation. They'll end the phone call in a professional way, and just observe the vocabulary that they use.
Nice. Thanks for that tip.
Yeah, no
Try that in
problem.
Spanish.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we will see you tomorrow, Thursday, with Deep Thoughts Thursday, where we share an inspirational quote with you.
See you tomorrow.
See you then.
Okay, so Gabby, what do you think would be the best way for students to use the All Ears English podcast to actually move from the intermediate to the advanced level?
Yeah, a lot of people get stuck at the intermediate level. I know in my own language learning that listening and then reading the transcript of what I just listened to, like a radio program or a podcast, really helped me to push my language skills to the advanced level.
Absolutely. So in order to do that and to actually get more out of this All Ears English experience, where can our listeners go?
Well, you guys can get premium transcripts of all of our podcasts, word for word, what we're saying, if you go to allearsenglish.com/conversations.
And one more time, that's www.allearsenglish.com/conversations. Thanks for listening to the All Ears English podcast. We're here to help you learn English, and you can help us by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. See you next time.
This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 21, Deep Thoughts Thursday. Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, where you'll finally get real native English conversation. Now here are your hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Gabby Wallace, the language angel, coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA.
In today's episode, you'll get inspired to make more mistakes.
How's it going?
Hey, all right. How are you?
Good. So you have a great quote that's really inspiring. Would you read the whole thing for our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So here is the quote. You've got to dance like there's nobody watching, love like you'll never be hurt, sing like there's nobody listening, and live like it's heaven on earth.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
So I always remember the line, dance like no one's watching, because that's, I think, the most popular line from this quote. I mean, it's a very famous quote. And who is
So that's by William W. Perkey.
Okay, cool. Yeah, dance like no one's watching. I love that.
Absolutely.
What does that mean to you?
Yeah, to me that means being in a state of mind where you're kind of living your life in a sense of flow, and that you're not so concerned about what other people think.
Absolutely.
And I think that's so key for language learning, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it has to do with being okay with making mistakes or looking silly in front of others. That's the whole idea of dance like no one's watching. Just move or do whatever it is you're doing, maybe speaking English, learning a language. Do it like no one's watching. Do it like no one is going to critique you or say, oh my gosh, I can't believe you made that mistake. Usually people don't say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, just go for it and don't be afraid to do something silly.
Definitely. And last time a few weeks ago, we talked about this idea of creating an alter ego. And if you have to do that, you just create a new version of yourself when you go out there. And yeah, just try to enjoy the moments of life.
Yeah, absolutely. Be in the presence. And
it's not easy. We're not saying it's easy, right?
Right.
It's definitely not easy, but it's possible. And it's crucial if you want to move to the next level.
Yeah.
With your English.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Great quote. Cool. I love it. So we will talk to you guys next week. We have a great topic. If you are hoping to become a university student in the US, we're going to share our top 10 tips for getting into the college you want to go to in the US. So stay tuned and come meet up with us on Monday for that episode.
Yeah, see you Monday.
See ya.
Okay, so Gabby, what do you think would be the best way for students to use the All Ears English podcast to actually move from the intermediate to the advanced level?
Yeah, a lot of people get stuck at the intermediate level. I know in my own language learning that listening and then reading the transcript of what I just listened to, like a radio program or a podcast, really helped me to push my language skills to the advanced level.
Absolutely. So in order to do that and to actually get more out of this All Ears English experience, where can our listeners go?
Well, you guys can get premium transcripts of all of our podcasts, word for word, what we're saying. If you go to allearsenglish.com/conversations.
And one more time, that's www.allearsenglish.com/conversations. Thanks for listening to the All Ears English podcast. We're here to help you learn English, and you can help us by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. See you next time.
This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 22, Meeting Monday. Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, where you'll finally get real native English conversation. Now here are your hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Gabby Wallace, the language angel, coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA.
In today's episode, you will learn our top 3 tips for getting into the university that you want in the United States. So, Gabby, today we're talking about the top 3 tips that you have to help students get into universities in the United States.
Yeah, I've been teaching this class called the college application. It's all about applying to college. It's for international students who want to go to the college of their dreams in the U.S. So that's what I do, is I help them out with applying. So I wanted to share some of these tips with you, our listeners, today.
Awesome. So the first tip is to clean up your social media accounts. Can you say more about that?
Absolutely. So Kaplan just did a study where they surveyed 300 or 400 college admissions counselors, and about 30% said that they do check applicants online.
Seems high. Seems like a lot of people.
Yeah, well, and you have to realize they don't have time to do this for every applicant, but if there's any doubts or if they need more information, it could happen. So it's better to be on the safe side and check your name online. Google your name, check your Facebook profile, make sure that you have the privacy settings where you want them to be, and just make sure there's no unflattering information on you out there on the internet.
Definitely. And the next one is to stay on top of deadlines and to have some kind of a checklist or a system in your calendar where you can actually hit those deadlines.
Yeah, there's so many deadlines to keep track of. If you're applying to several schools, if you're taking several standardized tests, maybe TOEFL, SAT, or ACT, there's just so many deadlines and things to do. So it's a good idea to make a checklist and then put those items into your calendar.
Okay, great. And the last one is to make sure you find the right fit in the school that you choose.
Super important. I know that a lot of students would love to go to an Ivy League school, the school of their dreams. Maybe like right here in Boston, we have Harvard, MIT, Boston University, Boston College. We have so many great universities, but just because the university has a high ranking or a great reputation doesn't automatically mean it's going to be a good fit for you. So you need to ask a lot of questions and find out about the university, find out about its culture, maybe even go visit that school so that you can see firsthand what it's like. Because college in the US is not just about taking classes and getting good grades. It's really about that social environment. You're going to network, you're going to take part in extracurricular activities, maybe live in a dormitory. So it's so much more. You want to make sure that you feel like it's the right fit for you.
Yeah, for sure. So take some time with that and just make sure that you've got the right place.
Yeah.
Cool.
So those are my top 3 tips, just briefly explained right here. But I actually have a lot more information about each tip, and actually I have several more tips about getting into university. I just launched the college application class on udemy.com, and it has several video lectures, hours of material, videos and text, and audio interviews with experts. So if you really want to learn more about making your best successful college application, go to udemy.com. That's UDEMY.com, and you can search for the college application by Gabby Wallace. That's
awesome.
Me. Yeah.
Sounds great. Thanks for the tips, Gabby.
Yeah, you're welcome. And next episode on Tuesday, we're going to get together and talk about some of the vocabulary that we used in this episode, just to make sure that you are able to use it in your conversations.
Yeah, so come hang out with us tomorrow.
Cool. See you then. So I've heard that a lot of students get stuck at the intermediate level, and they're looking for a way to push through, break through to that advanced fluent level of English. One of the best ways that you can do this is to listen to the podcast we have here, but then also check your listening by reading our transcripts. It's the best way to get the most out of your all ears English experience. So you can find all of our transcripts, everything we say, word for word, on our website. It's www.allearsenglish.com/conversations.
Thanks for listening to the All Ears English podcast. We're here to help you learn English, and you can help us by leaving a 5-star review.
Get stuck at the intermediate level, and they're looking for a way to push through, break through to that advanced fluent level of English.
This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 23, Teaching Tuesday.
Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, where you'll finally get real native English conversation. Now here are your hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Gabby Wallace, the language angel, coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA.
In this Teaching Tuesday, you'll learn what the term Ivy League really means. So yesterday, on Monday, Gabby gave you her top 3 tips for getting into the university that you want here in the U.S. And today we just want to go through 2 or 3 phrases that you can learn from this lesson. So the first one, we said that it's really important to stay on top of deadlines. So what the heck does that mean?
To stay on top of something is to manage it, to meet deadlines. I mean, well, we use that as an example, to stay on top of deadlines. But to stay on top of, it just means that you're doing what you should be doing.
Right.
You're not letting your work pile up. That's another phrasal verb, but you're doing all of your work in time.
You're getting things in on time. You can say, I'm on top of that, right? I'm on top of something.
I'm on top of that. I'm on top of my work. I'm on top of homework. I don't know.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's a common phrase that we use. And the other one was, we talked about the Ivy League. So this is an interesting one. So a lot of people know the term Ivy League. It actually is a sports league. Okay, so it's comprised of Brown University, Columbia, Cornell, Dartmouth, Harvard, Princeton, UPenn, and Yale. Okay, but...
Well, when people say the Ivy League, there's this connotation of academic excellence. It's difficult to get in. They're very selective. Maybe 20% of applicants get in, and it's kind of a network of, how can I say, just like an elite network.
Elite schools, right. But it's just interesting that actually what it is a sports network. It's a group of teams that play each other in sports events.
Right.
Sporting events.
Right. So. But most people don't think of the sports events. They just think about, those are good schools.
Yeah, which is really cool.
And they're all on the East Coast.
Right.
Northeast. Yeah.
Okay, and what was the next term that you had?
Okay, so we have a couple other just English phrases. So the next one is to make sure.
So for this one, this is a way of just checking on things, right? I want to make sure, I'm not sure if I turned off the oven. I'm going to go back and make sure that I turned off the oven when I'm leaving the house.
Yeah, to check. I like how you said that. To double check.
Double check, yeah. And the last one was the right fit. You want to find a school that's the right fit.
Absolutely. So something that you feel comfortable in. It could be, clothing, shoes, but when we say the right fit at a university, we mean you feel comfortable there. You feel like it suits your goals and your character and who you are.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, so cool. So let's just have a minute for you to repeat the phrases. So repeat after me. Stay on top of. Ivy League. To make sure. The right fit. Great. Cool.
All right.
Thanks, Lindsay. And I'll see you tomorrow
for a Wisdom Wednesday.
Wisdom Wednesday. All right.
See you then.
See you then. Hey, so I've heard that a lot of students get stuck at the intermediate level and they're looking for a way to push through, break through to that advanced, fluent level of English. One of the best ways that you can do this is to listen to the podcast we have here, but then also check your listening by reading our transcripts. It's the best way to get the most out of your all ears English experience. So you can find all of our transcripts, everything we say, word for word, on our website. It's www.allearsenglish.com/conversations.
Thanks for listening to the All Ears English podcast. We're here to help you learn English, and you can help us by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. See you next time.
This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 24, Wisdom Wednesday. Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, where you'll finally get real native English conversation. Now here are your hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Gabby Wallace, the language angel, coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA. In today's episode, find out how you can use your own native language to help you learn English. Hey Lindsay, how's it going?
Hey Gabby, how are you today?
Good. So I heard you have a good idea for practicing and improving a new language.
Yes, I have a great idea. This is something I've used for Japanese and for Spanish, and it's turned out to be really useful. So the trick is find a language exchange.
What's a language exchange?
A language exchange is an opportunity to find someone who speaks the language that you're learning as a native speaker, and you sit down with that person and you exchange languages. So you speak in your native language for half of the time and in their native language for half of the time, and the person corrects you. Okay?
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
So it's usually free, right?
Yes, definitely free. Yeah.
So I've heard of at least one website where you can do this online using Skype or using, GChat or whatever. There's one called Live Mocha. Do you know that one?
Yeah, Live Mocha is one.
Okay.
Is one way you can do it. Another place you can go is languageexchange.com.
I've heard of that one too.
Yeah.
Mixer.com?
Mixer, I don't know.
Mixxer.
Okay.
It might be the same as Language Exchange.
It might be. It might be the same.
Okay.
And another place you can go is Craigslist. I mean, obviously with Craigslist you have to be careful, but that's for a local connection, right?
Yeah.
Just meet the person in a public place. And yeah.
Well, I was going to say, locally speaking, for you guys living in the U.S., I mean, you can go to a meetup. There's often meetups for specific language groups. Like I know in Boston, there's a Spanish meetup for people who want to speak Spanish and learn English, and or rather, people who speak Spanish and want to learn English, and English speakers who want to learn Spanish. There's one for Arabic, for French, for Portuguese. I mean, there's so many different meetups. So that's a great way to do it. Also, if you live near a university, check out if the university has any language exchange set up, like in their international department.
Awesome. So those are some great tips. So go for a language exchange. The point is you need to be practicing speaking as much as you can, and a language exchange is a great way to do that.
Yeah, cool. It sounds like a great way to practice.
Absolutely.
All right, so I'll see you tomorrow for our Deep Thoughts Thursday.
Absolutely, I'll be there. Will you be there?
Yeah, I will. See you then.
See you then.
Hey, so I've heard that a lot of students get stuck at the intermediate level and they're looking for a way to break through to that advanced fluent level of English. One of the best ways that you can do this is to listen to the podcast we have here, but then also check your listening by reading our transcripts. It's the best way to get the most out of your all ears English experience. So you can find all of our transcripts, everything we say, word for word, on our website. It's www.allearsenglish.com/conversations.
Thanks for listening to the All Ears English podcast. We're here to help you learn English, and you can help us by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. See you next time. This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 25, Deep Thoughts Thursday.
Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, where you'll finally get real native English conversation. Now here are your hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Gabby Wallace, the language angel, coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA. Okay. In today's episode, we're going to share a quote and talk about why you may not be as successful in English yet as you want to be. Hey, Lindsay.
Hey, Gabby, what's up?
Not much.
All right, so today we have a quote.
We do. We have an awesome quote. You have to go wholeheartedly into anything in order to achieve anything worth having.
Nice. Well, first of all, what does wholeheartedness actually mean?
Well, it comes from, we have two root words. We have whole and we have heart. So basically, put your whole self, your whole efforts into doing something.
Yeah, and so today we would just invite you to ask yourself a question, like, to what extent are you wholeheartedly going into your English study?
Right, because honestly, it does take incredible focus and effort to really delve into a language and see improvements.
Right.
So if you're just doing it, just a little, or because you feel like you have to, or you're just maybe saying you want to improve your English, but not doing anything about it, it's not going to work out. It's not going to improve.
Exactly. Are you saying you want to improve because your friends are saying the same thing? Or do you really, really want to improve? Because I see that there's a difference between the students that succeed and that don't succeed. The ones who really want it from the bottom of their heart to succeed, they actually do.
Yeah. And doing is very important. I hear a lot of people say, I'm trying to improve, but what are you doing?
Right.
I mean, let's take an honest look at what are you doing to improve your English. You're listening to this podcast, which is awesome.
Good choice.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, just think about how you can use your heart, your mind, and focus and really see improvements, because that's going to be so rewarding.
Absolutely. So take a day or two to kind of go inside and think about that.
Cool. Thanks. All right, so good quote, Lindsay, and I will see you on Monday next week. We're going to talk about Christmas.
Christmas is coming.
And, how to celebrate when you're in the U.S. and you might be away from your family.
All right, I'm looking forward to that one.
Cool. See you then.
Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye. Hey, so I've heard that a lot of students get stuck at the intermediate level and they're looking for a way to break through to that advanced, fluent level of English. One of the best ways that you can do this is to listen to the podcast we have here, but then also check your listening by reading our transcripts. It's the best way to get the most out of your all ears English experience. So you can find all of our transcripts, everything we say, word for word, on our website. It's www.allearsenglish.com/conversations.
Thanks for listening to the All Ears English podcast. We're here to help you learn English, and you can help us by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. See you next time. This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 26.
Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, where you'll finally get real native English conversation. Now here are your hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Gabby Wallace, the language angel, coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA.
In this episode, you'll learn 5 ways to spend the Christmas holiday in the U.S.
Hey Lindsay, how's it going?
Hey Gabby, what's happening?
Well, I want to talk a little bit about this holiday coming up.
This holiday called
Christmas. So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about being away from home in America over the Christmas holiday, and a little bit about Christmas stuff, like things you should know that might be different from back home.
Yeah, okay. So where should we start today?
Oh my gosh. So Well, I would say, how do you have fun and enjoy Christmas when you're not with your family? You're in a new city, you're in a new country in the U.S. What are some things that you could do for fun? What's one thing that comes to mind?
Yeah, I mean, often you can go and do public ice skating.
Oh,
okay?
cool,
So that's one thing that's kind of cool to do.
Ice skating here in Boston, in the Boston Common, in New York City, Central Park. So much
Rockefeller
fun.
Center. They have that skating rink in Bryant Park also.
Yeah, it's great to do with your friends or like on a date. And there's a lot of Christmas parties. Like, check the newspaper, check club listings. There might be like a Christmas themed event that would also be fun.
Right. Cocktail parties also. If you get invited to a cocktail party, what's one thing you should remember?
Well, two things.
Okay,
one thing, you had mentioned bringing something.
Yes, like a bottle of wine.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Yeah.
A bottle of wine for your host. Also, it's really big to wear red at holiday parties, to wear like a nice red dress. I mean, Christmas colors are red and green, but you don't have to wear all red and green. But I'm just saying, for the ladies, if you have a nice like red cocktail dress, it could be a nice time to use it.
Yeah, and cocktail parties are fancier. They're on the fancier side. So, I mean, when I go to a party, I often wear jeans, but I wouldn't wear jeans to a cocktail party.
No, it'd be like
That's
heels
something you need to
and
know.
a cute
Yes, absolutely.
guys, maybe a suit jacket.
Totally.
Yeah, looking good.
Cool. Okay.
Oh, and if you're at a party, watch out for mistletoe.
Yeah.
That I don't know, it's like a green leaf thing with like red berries.
Sort of
People hang it in doorways, and if you walk under it with someone else, the tradition is you have to kiss that person.
Yeah. You see that a lot in the movies too.
Yeah. You can use it to your advantage if you want.
Okay. So what else?
Another good thing is in a lot of cities they have huge Christmas trees. So you could go if you catch the lighting, or you could just go. After the Christmas tree is up, you could go take a walk around there, take pictures. It's really cool. I know in the Boston Common they have one. They probably have one in Central Park too, right?
Probably. Yeah. I don't remember, but probably.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and I would just say to just keep in mind that even if you're feeling lonely or away from your family and your home culture, just think maybe you're only here for a few years, and it's a unique opportunity.
Take advantage of
that. To
be
be in a new place at Christmas time.
Well, and another thing about the U.S. is we often spend Christmas with family, whereas, I used to live in Japan, and I know Christmas is like a big date night in Japan. So it's just, it's good to know. Of course, you can go on a date on Christmas.
Sure. Do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want. Exactly. But yeah, just take advantage of it. And, check universities too. They often have international student gatherings or, international groups. There's one called Internations. There might be different groups in your city. So just see what's going on. And there's no reason why you couldn't organize your own events as well.
Right. And there's one more thing that you could do. A lot of times we like to volunteer. If you're feeling bored or lonely, you could volunteer at a soup kitchen. A soup kitchen is a place where people serve food to homeless people.
Yeah.
So go and give something. If you're feeling sad, just give.
Yeah, that's a great idea. It's a great way to meet people as well.
For sure. And to practice your English.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Great ideas. So, yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope you enjoy the holiday away from home and that you just have a great time.
Yeah, enjoy.
Yeah. All right, so we'll see you tomorrow, and we're going to have a Teaching Tuesday to just talk about some of the phrases that we used in this episode more in depth. So I'll see you then.
See you then.
So yeah, looking back at our episode today, our meeting Monday, we just wanted to mention that we know Christmas is a religious event. It comes from Catholicism, obviously, but we're talking about it in more of a cultural way that, if you're in the U.S., it's celebrated. You're going to see the stores celebrating Christmas. You're going to see a big old Christmas tree in the park, and it's good to know what it is, and, just to celebrate as like a cultural event, not necessarily a religious event.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Cool.
Okay, so, I've actually talked with 30 different students over the past few months. And a lot of the students that I've spoken with have said that they're at an intermediate level or a high intermediate level, and they just can't seem to find a way to move beyond that intermediate level, to move to the advanced level. And this is what we want to help you guys with. But if you really want to move to that level, it's going to require a little bit more of a commitment, okay? So go for the premium transcripts that we have available for you. And in order to get those, you need to go to www.allearsenglish.com/conversations. So check it out. Thanks for listening to the All Ears English podcast. We're here to help you learn English, and you can help us by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. See you next time. This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 27, Teaching Tuesday.
Welcome to the All Ears English podcast, where you'll finally get real native English conversation. Now here are your hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Gabby Wallace, the language angel, coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts, USA. In this episode, learn why Lindsay doesn't wear high heels. Hey Lindsay, how's it going?
Hey Gabby, what's going on?
Not much. So yesterday we talked a little bit about being away from home in the U.S., in America for Christmas, and some fun things you can do to really enjoy the holiday in a new way. So we'd like to discuss a few words that came up in that conversation. Mm-hmm. What was one word?
So one of the words was fancy. So we talked about a fancy party, a cocktail party being a fancy party.
Yeah, fancy is really common, but it's like, what is it? It's nice,
special, upscale.
Yeah,
right? If you're talking about fashion, a fancy way of dressing is just nicer,
ornate,
than casual.
Yeah. And I mean the word is commonly used, but yeah, it's just like a special, high class,
expensive.
Yeah. Cool.
Fancy, okay. And the other one was watch out.
Ooh, watch out!
Watch out! Be careful!
But you can use watch out in another way, like watch out for mistletoe. I think that's the way we used it. Or, maybe watch out for Christmas sales.
Right, watch out. Keep an eye out.
Yeah.
Be aware of.
Exactly. Look for. Mm-hmm. Cool. What's another one?
Well, we used the word gathering.
Yeah, gathering can be another word for a party.
Yep. So when we gather, we come together, we're at a gathering.
Do you think gathering has the meaning that it's like a little bit more easygoing? Like you're probably not going to be like listening to club music and dancing all over the place.
Probably wouldn't be a club scene gathering.
Like I'm having a little gathering at my house.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit intimate.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that. Rather than a huge party, a small gathering.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. And then our last word to share with you is heels. So this is just short for high heels, right? Mm-hmm. Just the shoes that women wear make us look taller.
Right. Personally, I don't wear heels because I hate the way they feel on my feet.
Yeah. Well, but for a fancy event, sometimes it's nice.
You have to wear heels.
Totally. Cool. Yeah, so let's just say the words together. So repeat after us. Lindsay, what's the first word?
Okay, so the first one is fancy.
Watch out for.
Gathering.
Heels.
Got it.
Great. So I'll see you tomorrow for Wisdom Wednesday.
See you on Wednesday. Okay, so, I've actually talked with 30 different students over the past few months, and a lot of the students that I've spoken with have said that they're at an intermediate level or a high intermediate level, and they just can't seem to find a way to move beyond that intermediate level, to move to the advanced level. And this is what we want to help you guys with. But if you really want to move to that level, it's going to require a little bit more of a commitment, okay? So go for the premium transcripts that we have available for you. And in order to get those, you need to go to www.allearsenglish.com/conversations. So check it out. Thanks for listening to the All Ears English podcast. We're here to help you learn English, and you can help us by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. See you next time.